Hey everyone, Sergey here from It's a Thing Imagery, and I'm back with another video. Today I'm joined with my Red camera, the Red Komodo X, and I've faced an issue with my vintage lenses that I've had, and I finally got down to the bottom of it. So I own the Nikon AIS lenses. They're really beautiful vintage lenses. They've been cine modified, so that way they can have an EF mount and an 80mm front. Also fits 82mm filters. My vintage lenses focus externally, so the biggest issue is that they, instead of focusing like cinema lenses where they focus internally, they're old, vintage, and they're stills lenses modified for cine, so they focus externally and zoom in and out. Now there's an issue with that. When you want to be able to put on a matte box so you can control your lighting into the camera, you can't clamp them on. And the reason you don't want to clamp them on is it puts way too much stress onto the lenses and then they don't work properly after a long period of time. I've used them on music videos before, these lenses, and I kind of had to sit my matte box onto the rails and then loosely have the clamp-on ring just barely hugging the front of the lenses. I've tried PolarPro's rubber donut, I've tried a flexible cuff ring, I've tried a cloth donut, and they just don't seem to work properly. The biggest issue is that I run into drag on the gears, and I also get vignetting. So I've got the Nucleus Nano 2 set up here, and you'll see, and you can hear, no matter what I do, I can't set them up properly with a cuff or rubber donut or cloth donut. What I did find though, finally, are these beautiful donuts. They're made by Vocus. They're made in Holland, and they've kindly custom cut the size that I need for my lenses. They fit into a 114mm clamp-on ring. So the greatest thing about these is that they have some movement here and some give, but they're flat. So you can actually put them on, and so long as the size is right, you can have a little bit of movement in and out of the lens when it focuses externally. And that lets you actually use vintage lenses without damaging the lens, without having any drag, and still having a good image. The nice thing too is these are custom cut, and the movement is just enough that it'll stay snug around the front of my vintage lenses on that ring, and I don't have to worry about light coming through the back of the lens, around the back of the matte box. So I'm gonna put this on here. I have my 20mm on right now, and I'll show you what it looks like when I put this on. This isn't a perfect solution. When I set this up, I zoom out as far as the lens will telescope forward, and then I clamp it on. I put the rubber further back onto the external ring, the 80mm ring, and then I double check by focusing that it doesn't actually move. You have to have rails. You have to have a matte box put on rails so that way the matte box can support itself. That's the biggest thing with these. Like I said before, you can't clamp on the matte box. It puts too much weight and too much stress onto the vintage lenses, and you'll ruin the lenses over time. But this is great. There's no drag, and I can play with all of my lenses here. Now, I do have one more thing I want to show you. So I have this custom cut. I believe it was the exactly 80mm size. And then I also have a slightly smaller, I believe it's the 78mm that comes with the set. I've labeled it for my two lenses that I'd like to use this for, so that way when I go into my ditty bag, I know exactly what I'm grabbing. So I'm taking out my 80mm lens, and the reason I'm using that to show you guys is there's quite a bit of telescoping here, and that's beyond what you'd normally see sit in front of the lens. So that's why I'm using the smaller donut, because it'll hug right in between here and still play enough in that matte box, and it won't hit the ND filter, and it also won't slip out of the back of the donut. So I'm just gonna put this in here and show you guys how it works. Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is I'm just recalibrating the lens, seeing how far it'll play, double checking that it got calibrated properly. And then again, I'm going to telescope the lens as far as it'll go outwards, and then I'm going to put the donut on. So on this lens, I set it up roughly about halfway onto the lens itself. And the reason I telescope externally as well is I know that when I'm at my end, I'm not going to be hitting that ND filter in front of the matte box, or that's inside the matte box. So again, I have it set up. I'm going to zoom out or focus out. And you'll see it hits the ring properly, stays in nice and snug, and there's no light leaking. And because it's flat, I know that I'm not going to be getting any vignetting. I know I'm not going to be getting any light leaking through. I'm not going to be getting any drag. That's been the hardest thing to find with these lenses, is this tiny little donut. Nobody just makes them. You'd think something like this would exist. It took a long time and a couple $100s of trial and error, but this is the solution. If you email Evocus asking them for custom cut rings, they will give you 3. They give you one, the one that you're asking for, they'll give you one above and one below, and they also give you the 3 that come with the set. Very good customer service, and the shipping wasn't too long. I think it took about a week, all the way from Holland. Great company. This isn't sponsored. I just wanted to show you guys something that I found that was super helpful at the end of the day. When I ordered this set, one thing I wanted to do as well is I ordered 2 of the same set. I got the same custom cutout. The reason being is although this is a great solution, these aren't exactly the most durable pieces of material, so I wanted to have a backup cut and ready to go, so that way if something happens I could just grab the next set and move on. So if this was useful to you, let me know in the comments. If you've spent just as much time looking for these and now you're finally happy that your search is over, let me know, because I had such a hard time finding these, it wasn't even funny. If you like this content, like, subscribe, comment, you know, do all the things. Follow me on Instagram. If you want to send me a DM, I'm always willing to answer. And as usual, enjoy the rest of your day. See ya.